G'day guys, how are you? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing a review of an action thriller from Australia, English language, released in the year 2014, directed by Julius Avery, and this film is called Son of a Gun. So Son of a Gun starts off with this young guy. He's been thrown into prison and he's really struggling to know how the prison works. And because he's young, he's very vulnerable to the predators within this jail, and they start to manipulate this guy and they start to make him do things he doesn't want to do. So there is this career criminal who was such a good bank robber, and he's really the most notorious criminal in the prison. And he soon befriends this young guy, and he says that he will protect him as long as he does a few things for him. So he gets the protection of this notorious criminal, and then when this young guy is released, the young guy has to break him out of jail in a very daring escape plan. So this plan works out, and now this career criminal is going to use this young guy in order to try and pull off a gold heist within this gold mine. So it's a very ambitious sort of attempt, and it's an attempt that's going to really set them up for life. So this young guy, he really doesn't have a father figure, so he takes this guy, this career criminal, as a father figure, and this career criminal is really looking after him. But then as things get deeper and deeper within the criminal organisation, there is a few betrayals, and this young guy doesn't know who he can trust, and he really wants to break free of this criminal lifestyle that he is living in order to rearrange his life and try and live a peaceful existence. So whether or not he can do that, something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I am going with my synopsis. Now, my thoughts on Son of a Gun. As you guys know, 2014 is a very good year for Australian cinema, for the simple fact that a lot of these films have very much a mainstream sort of quality about them that will appeal to the worldwide audience. So not a lot of films do that, but 2014 seems to be the year for Australia, and Son of a Gun has that quality in that it is going to sell to an international audience because it doesn't have that made-for-television feel. It actually feels like a mainstream film. It actually feels like it has some purpose, and it has a lot of confidence. So Ewan McGregor plays the main sort of career criminal guy, and I thought his role was by far the best. His character was very intriguing, and I wanted to know more about him. He was this really good bank robber. There are some really good scenes between him and the criminal organisation when they start to pull off these heists. It starts to become an action sort of film, so I really like that aspect of it. It's a very dark and gritty film as well. It's not going to really make you feel good after watching it, and it does steer clear of the American way of doing these things, in that it was glamorising the violence, whereas this film doesn't glamorise the violence, and I actually thought it hit very hard and it got its message across very well. And the contrasting difference between the life that this young guy wanted and the life this guy is actually in was there, and I actually thought, you know, in some areas I felt sorry for this young guy because he had his whole life ahead of him, but he was getting mixed up in the wrong people, and it does show you that if you go down the wrong path, it can just ruin everything that you want. And so when he gets this love interest, I thought that was more of a distraction. It was a side plot, and I really thought Son of a Gun would have worked a lot better if it didn't have that side plot. But I thought him trying to get out of this criminal life, you thought to yourself, can he get out, or will he stay there? And I thought that kept it somewhat interesting throughout the film as well. So the acting is great. As I said, Ewan McGregor plays a really good career criminal, and then you've got the main guy. I can't remember his first name, but his last name is Thwaites. He does an okay job, although none of the characters are really that much in depth, except for, you know, the Ewan McGregor character. I actually felt like Ewan McGregor was the star of the film, therefore he got the star role. But the only problem is everyone around him is just not that interesting enough, and that's why I didn't enjoy Son of a Gun as much as I really wanted to. So it starts off very gritty, but unfortunately it comes into a love interest between the young guy and this Russian girl. And I don't think she was really Russian. I don't know why they chose the Russian aspect of it, because, you know, the Russian mafia, it is very much, you know, used these days, especially, you know, more recently, The Equalizer. All the bad guys seem to be Russian. Anyway, these people were Russian, and the love interest between the Russian and the main character, I thought, because you don't really care about any of the characters, that was a distraction. There are some really good moments of violence. You know, some of the action scenes are really, really well done, especially a car chase. But then it goes to this really uninteresting love story, and I thought the characters weren't gone into enough. I didn't care what happened to this young guy. I didn't really sympathise for him, although I could see that, you know, being a young guy, I wanted to see, you know, maybe he go onto a straight and narrow path. But I just didn't care that much to really care about the love interest. I didn't care whether or not he really got out of this predicament. So when you're not seeing action, you're seeing this really boring, almost pointless love interest, this side plot. of romance, and it feels like every single one of these types of movies has to have a romance side of it. But I thought it would have been a lot better if it was just a straight out action film. It was a movie about this guy trying to break out of his lifestyle and trying to make something of himself without the interest of the love, because it does get you at a frenetic pace and then all of a sudden it just stops, and this guy is talking to this woman, and as I said, you don't care, you don't feel any connection to these guys because not enough attention to detail has been put into the characters. And the only interesting character, as I just said, was Ewan McGregor's character, but unfortunately he really isn't the main point of the film. The main point is the young people, and unfortunately, because you don't really get character development when it really needs that dramatic punch, it doesn't really deliver it because, as I said, you don't really care. They're cardboard cutout and they're just fuzzy faces in the background. So there is a lot to like about Son of a Gun. As I said, the action scenes are very well done. There are some moments that will really shock you. I love the dynamics within the criminal organisation when they're pulling off this robbery. It actually felt like they were a close-knit family. But then outside of the criminal works of the film, it just doesn't work, and unfortunately it did take it took my enjoyment out of it quite a bit. So unfortunately this is not one of the good Australian films. I mean, there is something to like about it, but unfortunately I thought it would have been a lot better if they took a different approach. So I'm only going to give Son of a Gun 2.5 stars. I was somewhat disappointed. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. So next time keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.